Hi everyone, this is Satya. Today we are going to discuss about how to secure ever-evolving technologies. Why we are mentioning here as ever-evolving technologies. Today we are taking this session on webinar, right? Otherwise, we would have sitting next to each other and might be discussing, passing the papers and talking by sitting next to each other, right? The physical connectivity. So that's changing. So there are a lot of things happening in the technologies that is moving from traditional data centers to cloud, and then moving from long distance calls through a fixed landline to mobile. And then we are not talking right now, we are just chatting or texting, right? So there are a lot of things moving on there. So we are going to discuss on few areas today. First thing is how the technology is evolving, what are the disruptive elements coming out, and then yes, in case the technology is growing so enormously, then is there a chance that that could be exploited? If it is exploited, what could be the impact? That's what we'll discuss there. And then after that, we just touch upon little bits of what is cybersecurity, what is information security, the basics. And then very important and interesting topic for all the students out there. I know you want to know what is the career opportunity in cybersecurity. Are there any openings for us? What is the mechanism for me to actually pick this as a path, right? So that will be covered in the fourth section. So these are the four elements we are going to cover in today's discussion. After the discussions, I'm here with you to further discuss and see, have some interactive discussions and answer your questions along the lines or anything outside, anything related to cybersecurity. I'm happy to discuss. Apart from giving these webinars, I am also an active mentor for various colleges, one-on-one as well as group mentoring. So in case you do have questions which you require career challenges, or you have some question which you require answer, you can reach me out. Yep. So let me start from the first part. So we just mentioned technology is evolving. There are too many things happening in the technology right now. 22 years back, when I joined BSNL was the only internet service provider. What does it mean? If you need internet, you need to actually wait in the queue for 6 months to get a dial-up connection. After that, it gives ring, 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 and then you get connected. And then after that, you log in, actually at a speed of 120 kbps. That's the speed at which you will get after so much of wait. And then that was the only internet service provider. Nobody knows what is email, um, what is chat, etc. So that's the scenario where in which I started my career in internet. Right. From then to today what we are speaking is like about systems on cloud, exams on cloud, and we are speaking about bug bounty programs, and we are speaking about bots, botnets, and chat windows, and robots speaking to us and answering and dealing our queries rather than real customer care operator sitting there. So you know how the disruption is happening and how the technology is evolving. Let's see some trends, right? The first trend, the physical coins and also notes. That's the that's the way we actually get something, right? Money in physical form. Nowadays, we are not using or carrying notes or coins. What we are carrying is just a mobile and say, okay, do you have Google Pay? Do you have Paytm? If it is, then let's pay. All the way from onion seller to the milkman to the Amazon, everywhere we are making digital payments. Not just the people in Bangalore who is actually the crowd from IT world, but also in villages. People are using digital payments. What that means? What that means, the banks has to actually maintain their accounts current on systems rather than just books. They used to manage books and journals, and then um, accounts were managed in books. Now everything is actually handled on a machine or a computer or a server, right? So everything need to be digitized, right? So that you need to see what is there in the balance. Balance need to be visible from anywhere and everywhere, and you should get money anytime. That's why you have ATMs. There was a time we used to wait before the bank and queue in and filling a letter saying that I need this much money, and the teller will give us cash. So that's the olden times. Now you just transfer money when somebody needs money. Okay, you tell me what's your phone number, I transfer you, right? So that is the way the transactions are changing. So that is the way the digital is evolving in the payment industry. So while doing so, what is coming in? You require interfaces like mobile interface, you need a web interface, you need customer interface, you need the banking interface, and there's a merchant interface. There are various things coming in, which means there are more and more what we can say is that new jobs are evolving, new methods are evolving to handle that kind of trend, right? That's the first one. Let's move on to health, right? So when we are not well, even today, I think in India at least we are still going to a doctor and checking ourselves rather than doing it ourselves. Whereas in some countries today, there are systems available and tools available to check for example, the insulin level. You know what is insulin, right? If the insulin is high, people have diabetes or sugar, right? So the insulin levels could be monitored by a band, the wristbands, right? And the type of one which you use, Fitbit or Apple Watch, etc. So with that, it continuously monitor the insulin level and tell you that whether the patient is have the right level of sugar. Otherwise, it gives certain alerts. Same way for blood pressure, same way for heart. So there are systems available to um, identify, monitor the patient's health and alert the hospitals as well as the caring staff, right? So that is evolving today. So where we are moving from normal physical hospital to a virtual hospital with the virtual consultation and virtual doctors, and then the analytics going through all the way to the cloud, right? That's a second trend. So before I move on to the third one, I just want you to just think about any questions you might have about e-payments and e-health, etc. Just put it in the chat window right now, and then we will answer. I will try to answer them at the end of the session. Okay. So whatever the questions you might have, okay, what is this digital payment about? Why should I be concerned? What is the uphill task in that? Or if it is about e-health, so what does it mean? You have any questions, just post it there in the chat window, and we will come back to that and answer it in short while. Yeah. So next trend, right? E-commerce. Okay. So we all know about e-commerce right now, right? But probably our grandmothers and grandfathers still can't understand what is this you're ordering on mobile. By the way, because of COVID, they also understand. So the traditional way of buying, by choosing, picking something from the shelf, or checking whether this is the one which I want to buy. If it's a shirt, just wear it and see whether it fits in or the color matches to me or not. So that was the way we used to buy something. Now we are actually checking it online, right? This specs what I bought. I bought it on Lenskart. So actually Lenskart gives me an option to actually check how I look online, right? So I can try different frames and see whether it is looking big or small, or whether my face is looking correct or not. So there are interfaces available to make the experience personal, right? So that you get connected and this just experience the experience you might have felt by going to a shop, you know. So there are different experiences coming from e-commerce right now, right? So the part one is actually moving from traditional shops to e-commerce sites like Amazon and Snapdeal or Flipkart, many others, right? So that's one thing. What do you need? Again, I'll just speak about why is it a disruptive technology, what is changing, right? So when you have a shop, what do you need as a cashier who's handling books and a person who is actually taking care of the stocks, and then somebody to see, monitor everything is safe and nobody is stealing it. Whereas in an e-commerce space, you need a merchant gateway which actually transactions the money in and out, and there is a gateway for where you actually show your stocks, how many stocks are in, how many sent, and what are good. Along with that, additionally, some additional add-ons like what is trending, okay, which has better functional skills, or rather, how many people actually bought it, what is the feedback. So all those things are added as additional things in e-commerce, right? So there are different elements added, because of which again there's a disruption out there. So then let's go to e-learning. Today what we are doing is e-learning, right? Rather than being in the class and then saying, lifting a hand for asking question. Yeah, there is a hand button in this meeting too. So where you just press the hand buttons to ask questions, right? Or text your question so that I answer, right? Earlier, it's a different story. And again, if there was already a trend of moving to e-learning, it's increasing. Now, I do have sons, right? Both of them are studying their classes from home. And same might be for you. You might be taking your college sessions from home and listening to that long lectures from home through your laptop or your desktop, right? So that's the traditional technology. By the way, the way we used to chat to the next person through by poking or talking to the next person, that's still possible by having WhatsApps, correct? So that's what is e-learning all about now. So there is an exploitation in that world. There are courses coming in. There are courses, long-term courses, short-term courses, etc. With the current scenario, again, coming back to COVID scenario, some schools are actually completely against going digital. They have to actually, they have no choice except for going for an online course, or at least give some kind of online presence. There is nothing they can do apart from that. And then some colleges are actually starting to make the examinations online, right? Online proctoring, it's happening, right? So those are the trends we are observing, right? So those are the four trends. By now you understand where I'm coming in. So you might have observed so far, we spoke about too many things. So what is that we are speaking about? It's all about data, whether it is financial data, health data, or commercial data, or even your learning interests, right? All what we are speaking now is all about data. So data is the new oil. What do you mean by oil, right? So, you know, the whole terminology, who has oil, whichever country has oil is the richest, because that is not available everywhere. It's available only in particular places. And then when somebody has it, then that becomes the gold mine, or the valuable asset. Now, the data is the new oil. The world's most valuable resource is no more oil, but it is data, right? There are a lot of mining engines out there. You can see Amazon, Microsoft, Google, Facebook, Tesla, Uber, a lot of others, right? Which are not listed out there. So everybody is fighting to see what data out there, how can I actually sell better, or give some experience particularly, or offer them certain medicine which can treat them. So there are various reasons why they're doing it, but end of the day, everybody is behind the data to make the experience better and get more customers and revenue, right? Now we spoke about data being the new oil. Yeah, you might have some confusing theory going on. Oh, what is this? So just again, my point here is, if you have a question, just scribble it out, text it out right now, but answers will be given after this call, after the session. Yeah. Next, okay, if data is a new oil, what happens if leaks, right? If there is a leakage of oil in the water, what happens? It's toxic, right? Because if it's toxic, accident do happen. Accident tend to take the business away, or take the entire place, or even humanity at large, right? So, um, so if it is mishandled, it's absolutely toxic. So it need to be handled properly. So that's where we speak about some cases. I'm just going to give you some classic cases of data leakage because of, as we just said, data was not handled properly. That's why the data leak happens. We just see some cases like that, right? Let's see the trend. How is it happening, right? Why cybersecurity is a lot of interest, right? The reason is, if you see the trend, right, from 2015 to 2021, this is actually a survey done by an organization, globally phenomenal. What they mentioned here is that in 2015, the type of attacks and then the impact on the organization happened to be at 3 trillion, then it is going to get double in 6 years, right? So not only just that, it's also said that if you read the text out there, every 40 seconds there used to be an attack earlier. Now the expectation of attack, by the way, this was written in 2019. Maybe because of COVID, the expected raise might have increased higher. The expected rate of increase of attacks is 11 seconds. So which means when we are saying tick, there was a ransomware attack. There is a second one, there were another attack. So the attacks are continuously happening and evolving, impacting a large amount of money on the organization, right? So, so what the way the transfer is happening is based on the attacks and the way you mitigate the legal issues, and then after effects of the cyber attack, right? Let's see some attacks so that you understand, right? Um, I know this example is not Indian, but I'll try to make it close to India so that you understand. So there are companies, for example, in India, um, there is an organization, CRISIL, right? If you need a loan, if you need a credit card, if you need a loan in India, the banks will ask CRISIL, tell me whether Satya is having a right positive credit score. Can I give the loan to that person, right? So they check the history of the financial history of the person and see, okay, yeah, she's getting salary from last 10 years and she don't have any loans. She has so many assets. And then I think you can go ahead and give the loan, right? So that is based on a particular rate, right? That is called something called credit score, right? So Equifax is one of such entity in US, right? So what happened in Equifax cases, there was a or one system or multiple system which were not patched. The systems were running with old vulnerability, which could be exploited, which means practically speaking, any person with a standard user can elevate themselves to an administrator and then get the data from the financial system, right? So that's the exploitation they have done. After doing the exploitation, what they have done is they actually collected all this data. So what is the data about? Data is about SSN number, which is actually very secure in US, right? Like Aadhaar card number. However, we don't consider Aadhaar card as a very sensitive information, but SSN number is very sensitive in India, in US, and that is connected to various other records, financial records and other records. So that's a sensitive information. and then their credit history, and then overdue debts, and what are the how many organizations from where they have taken the land. All those things were actually collated, right? So this information was leaked outside by the hackers. So you understand the impact, right? The impact was around 575 in Indian, actually, if we say 57 crores dollars, that's a big number, right? 575 millions, according to that number. That's a big settlement which they have to pay. Apart from that, what did they do is during that period, because there are 400,000 or 400 million customers are impacted, they are not going to come back to Equifax. They went to the competitor. They lost the customer base. They had to pay huge settlement to the legal, and then they have to give additional services for those who stick to that organization. For example, I decided it's okay, breach, but I want to be with you. Then I should actually get some additional privileges. Then there are additional privileges given, like free credit monitoring. So I don't need to pay anything, but the organization will continue to do the service, right? Something like that. So there is a huge penalty on the Equifax sector. So since this happened, this actually was a what we can say was a eye opener for various financial industries about how to handle the patch management and privilege access management, etc. Right. So that these 2 points are, you understand what I mean here about privilege escalation is, for example, you are a student, you do have a student ID, right? Lecturers have different IDs and principals have different IDs, obviously. What if a student ID, with the student ID, you logged into a system and exploited to a server and got privileges all the way to principal, and yeah, in the worst case scenario, got hold of the exam files, how difficult it would be. Yeah, that's what we are speaking about. So obviously exam files are sensitive until the exam over, right? The exam is over, possibly that's an archival, but until that time, that's a sensitive information. If you are able to escalate your privileges and get that kind of sensitive data, you understand the repercussions that happens in the colleges and universities. That's an example, by the way. And then there's another example in health sector. We spoke about health sector, what might happen in health sector, right? There was a WannaCry cyber attack. What the WannaCry do is, so you are working seriously on this machine where I'm presenting, and then suddenly a pop-up comes which says, you know what, your system is actually locked, and you pay me this money, then I'll open the system for you. Right? That is the kind of virus. I don't want to go into the details of what virus is it, but that's what is ransomware called. Ransomware means you pay me something and then I'll release your machine. It's like blackmail, right? So that's a ransomware attack which was released in 2017 May. It happened across the countries, and during that time, healthcare was also impacted. So NHS, which is the UK's largest, I mean, you can say that's the public organization which takes care of national health for the entire UK, was attacked by the WannaCry. So what happened that day was patients were coming to the hospital, but the doctors cannot take them, right? Because they do not have the history of who is the patient, what is the patient history. All the records are in their patient database and it is not accessible. Because of which around 19,000 appointments were cancelled, right? This is unimaginable. We don't know what kind of patients are coming in. There might be people who are going through a serious scenario and they are actually admitted in, they have to be admitted immediately, but the hospital can't take it because the before history was not there, you know. So and even those patients which are already inside, their records are also logged in, so they don't know what happened, what was the logs of this person. The records of the activities so far. So nothing is accessible, right? This is really dangerous. Yeah, it could be dangerous to the entire humanity, I can say. So these kind of attacks do happen. It did happen in 2017 across, and one of the incident I'm explaining here, right? And you and me, I think most of us use Uber, right? So Uber uses actually again a collaborative database where they do have the driver data and rider data as well as user data. Everything need to be at one place, because obviously they are um, collating this information to get some trends and get a particular place where the traffic is high, so that they can send drivers in that particular places. They also need to know which driver can travel to which place. So they need to have the driver behavior, driver location, driver information, as well as the riders who is logging in. So they do have a huge database, right? And then that was again actually captured or hacked by a party. And then they asked again the same thing, the ransom, right? In this case, Uber, I think you should, those who are interested in actually ethical hacking and stuff like that, I recommend you to read about Uber's case. The leadership team went through it. They didn't announce to the public saying that their data is leaked. Instead, they went ahead and paid $100,000, the backend, under the table, right? So what happens under the table, right? It's still, the data was disclosed afterwards. And then they have to pay double the money to the government for non-disclosure. You didn't tell us that it happened, right? First point. Second, you actually paid them. That is actually encouraging the, what we can say, hackers, which is not again a right opportunity. So the double issue happened there. So because of this, Uber need to go through again legal implications, and then there were discussions on how do we handle this again. Okay? So these are the few use cases which gives you a reason why cybersecurity is important, what is happening, what is the risk in not applying controls, right? So just I gave you certain scenarios of what could happen in case cybersecurity controls are not applied, right? So now, since we already know, I mean, you understood it's important, it's needed. So let's see, what is cybersecurity, by the way? What is information security? So information security can be simply taught by three principles, right? Confidentiality, integrity, and availability. Just remember CIA, right? CIA, that's all. With the three little words, you understand what is information security at a whole, right? Let's understand what are those three, and then deliberate on each of the element and what controls need to be applied, right? First part, confidentiality. What is confidentiality? Okay, so we just spoke about, right? So the exam papers of the college before the exam happened, those are confidential documents. Why they are confidential? They are confidential, and confidential means they are accessible by limited people who are authorized to view that, right? Those who are not authorized are not supposed to access it. That is what is confidentiality means. Confidentiality means information should be accessible by only those who have permissions to see it, view it, right? So it's about seeing, right? Not just processing. I mean, seeing is the first element, right? And then you have processing, deleting, all those things. Even the see, I mean, for your eyes only, you say, right? Which means confidential speak about ability to see certain thing with permissions, right? That's what it is about, right? For example, you want to, for example, we say that this particular video, what we are seeing, is confidential because it does have some information I put in there, and it's only accessible for those students who logged in, right? So those are the terms and conditions which I am applying saying that these people who actually attended the session can access this data, right? So there are terms and conditions connected to the confidentiality clause, right? So maybe another example could be the military records, defense records, right? When anybody says confidential, what you see is top secret files. So top secret files has particular list saying this is top secret, these are accessible only by the top whatever the number of people are, right? Nobody else should have access to it. So that's about the confidentiality, right? And whenever you are joining a company, they actually make you sign one agreement called confidentiality agreement. What does it mean is, whatever the confidential information you are working for or working on with that organization, you shouldn't reveal outside, right? That's about confidentiality. Yeah. Again, as I said earlier, so if you have any questions and any of the terms and points which we are discussing right now, just keep scribbling, keep the questions out there. We will read through them and answer it at the end. Second, integrity. So what is integrity? So integrity means, for example, I have to buy something, and let's say a beautiful watch out there, right? Which costs me 10,000, and then I gave a check of 1 and 4 zeros and signed on it, right? So that 1 and 4 zeros is actually 10,000 rupees, correct? Yeah. So what if the person on the other side changes another zero, adds another zero next to it, and makes it 1 lakh, right? That is integrity issue. During the transaction, there are changes happening, right? Without the interest or without the sign off or authorization from the other party or the parties, then that's a loss of integrity, right? When during the transaction or while it is there, this is the record should be as the way they are, right? They shouldn't be tampered with, right? That's all about integrity. So when you are, I mean, in case you are in 3rd year or 4th year in IT, I think you will get something called encryption, right? The reason why it is done is that the transaction, whatever you're doing, for example, you are doing a banking transaction. So you signed in with particular bank, let's say Axis Bank, username, password, logged in there and check your balance and transferred some money to Mr. Princey there. And then the money got transferred, right? And then your accounts got changed, right? For example, you have a 5,000 earlier and then you paid 1,000 and now you have 4,000, right? That's the money. And there is a transaction and then movement happening. The records of the entity should be intact. They shouldn't be tampered during the transaction or after the transaction. That's all about integrity. Okay? That is the actual definition is like information should not be altered without prior authorization, right? That's what is integrity all about. Availability. So availability means actually to make the relevant systems available for those who have authorization and requirement to use, right? Let's say today, right? This camera and then the screen and the keyboard, all those things are needed for me to actually run this session, right? And even the internet, by the way, right? By chance, the internet got disconnected. The internet is not available, because of which what happens? I cannot record this event. I cannot have this discussion with you, right? That is all about availability, right? Having the systems available, system/information available for those people who are authorized to get it when they need it. Yep. Those are the 3 core components of information security. Anybody asks about information security, if you can speak about these 3, that's good enough, right? People should not have access to those you do not have authorization to, that is confidentiality. The information should not be tampered when the transaction is happening or when it is lying somewhere, that's about integrity. Availability means systems / information should be accessible to those who have authorization and require it, right? So those are the three. So then there are two more, by the way, right? So these are added recently because of a lot of exploitation happening. Authenticity, that's one word. What is authenticity, by the way? Right. Okay, I'm Satyavathi Divadri and I'm Satya. The other side may be thinking, oh, are you really Satyavathi Divadri? Are you what you are? How can I prove? How can you prove that you are the person? What is the authenticity that you are the person, what you are saying, right? For example, you got a iPhone, and you paid 1 lakh and then got the phone and then realized that that's not real iPhone, but it is iPhone, IPONE, let's say. So it's not authentic, right? You need to know whether it is coming from the authentic product or not, right? That's about authenticity in the product sense. Authenticity in the information sense is you need to validate whether the person or what you can say, the entity, whether the entity is real or not. Right? Why I said entity / person, it could be a robot logging in or a person logging in, the current trend, right? So that could be verified by, there are 3 ways, right? What you know, which is actually password. What you know is actually a password or a PIN number or a passphrase, something, right? You have a username and something you remember. That's nothing but what you know. Second principle how the authenticity could be validated is what you have, right? What you have. What you have, it is like, I have my phone, this phone is mine, you know. So that's something which validates me. Okay, what is that? Let's consider mobile. Nowadays, you get OTP to verify whether that phone number is yours or not, right? So do you have the phone number? Yes. And is it validated by, have you received the OTP I sent you? Yes. So that is a second factor authentication, which is verifying 2 things now. One is what you know, which is your username and password. And then second is what you have, which is your mobile in this case, right? It could be something else. Maybe you are, when you are entering to building, office building or college building, your identity card. That is what you have, right? What you know is your college ID, and then what you have is your proximity card, correct? So that's the second one. There is a third authentication which gets added nowadays called biometric authentication, right? You might have seen a lot of scientific movies or sci-fi movies where the iris scan happens and then people see the eye and then the door opens. Yeah? The finger is kept and then door opens. The entire hand is, both the hands are kept and the doors open. So these are the different controls. So this is the third control. What do you know and what you have. And third one is biometric control. Biometric control is about what you are. You know, so those are the third 3 controls which actually validates the person is real. You know, that's about authenticity. Hope you understand and remember. Next one is about non-repudiation. What is non-repudiation again? Okay, you know what? In the non-repudiation case, I think it's practical, quite practical actually in the friends, right? You know what? I get first rank, I'll give you a party. We tell that all the time, yeah. But you get the first rank, but you forget. The other guy says, "Hey, Satya, you were supposed to give me a party. You told me that day." I'll tell, "No, I never told you." That is called repudiation or part, right? Non-repudiation is the other person can prove that I said that. You know what? I have a recording saying that you said if you get a first rank, you are going to give me a party, right? And I can prove you that you are the one who said that, and that you cannot take back your words. So non-repudiation is all about, you cannot take back the words you said, or the contract you have written, or a signature you sent, or a mail you sent it. So mostly it is applicable in the information sense about mails. When you send a mail, right, it is not just authenticity, it's about non-repudiation, right? It comes from an official address, and then there is no way that you can say it is not from me. And then there is a signature, digital signatures are used to validate you are the person who signed on it. Something like your sale deed or rental agreement. So there is a sign, right? So you are the one who read it and signed on it. Tomorrow you cannot say, I don't know what the terms and conditions you wrote. Then the clause is, you are the one read it and signed here. The non-repudiation works there. So that's about it. Yeah, that's the fifth control. So these are the 5 top controls. There are so many controls around it, but these are the 5 basics you should know to know about cybersecurity or information security, by the way. Okay, next. So now we know that there are things, right? I know I cannot actually teach entire risk management in 30 minutes or 40 minutes. So I'll try to fix it with some 5 facts we should do so that the cybersecurity could be strengthened, right? You can actually take back and say to 10 more people saying, guys, if you do this, I guess we can handle security right well. Right? The first one, password. Password actually can ward off most attack. Yes or no? Yeah. Because you might have a lot of controls, but the password, if it is weak, yeah, it's quite easy to log in. Imagine the password for this particular session is conference 123. Quite easy to guess, right? Then why do somebody pay to actually log in? They can simply log in without paying anything. And some people actually keep it so easy that it's guessable. You don't need to actually do a brute force to exploit such passwords. Passwords are Satya123. My name is Satya. Next is 123. That's all. You need to just know the person's name and add 123 there. Or in general, pass 123, password 123, and that's you might wonder. Satya is just telling, oh, no, nobody will do that. But that there are statistics which says that people generally use these kind of passwords a lot, right? So being the next generation you are, you don't do that. You try to make a passphrase. You make a long line that make a complete passphrase of we met in Singapore 2021, or make something longer, but it's a phrase which you only can make it, right? Make it a alphanumeric, but easy to remember, so that you don't write it somewhere and then forget it, right? So if it is very complex, then you might put it on the wall and then everybody knows, right? Just make it simple, easily rememberable, but passwords are something which should be guarded very closely. Second one, no security system is infallible, right? Imagine that no system, whatever is there, it will actually take care of everything. I think we don't need to bother much. Let's give everything away, right? Just try to provide only what is required. For example, you are coding something, just provide only the details what is required to the end user, right? If you are passing so many arguments inside, your outcome should also reveal as much as needed, not more than that, right? If you don't need certain services in your desktop, it's better that you shut down those rather than getting exploited outside, right? Third one is update your OS and software. It's applicable not just for laptop, for also your mobile, right? Fourth is install antivirus software, which is very much important because malware is actually on the propaganda right now. So it's important for you to have latest antivirus there. Not just antivirus install, but have it updated with the right signatures. Finally, be careful of what you see and what we post. So what do you mean by that, right? So what I mean here is when you are posting something on a particular place, whether it's Instagram, whether it is Twitter or any other places, those are actually records which are kept for life, right? It can't be erased, right? Whatever the records you are keeping now will continue even in your professional journey, and they will not be taken back. So just be careful on what you are posting, what you are tweeting, what you are recording. There are places where people lost their jobs because of their abrupt posts on Twitter and other places. Yeah. So those are the few um, tips I want to give. And there is a quick video here for 2 minutes. Let's try see how you take it.
Yo, man.
Hello?
Can you help me, man?
Sure. How can I help you?
My account just got wiped.
You must be joking.
I don't know how I let this happen.
By who?
Some guy pretending to be you, you know? Man, I don't know what to do.
It wasn't me.
Alright. A fellow emailed me, dear customer, there seems to be a payment issue. You need to send us your account number and we'll resolve it for you. How could I be so clumsy and click on the dubious link? All this time he was after my password and username.
Or can you grant us later access to your data? Hackers and a frost is always lying in the waiter. You better watch your back, don't fall for the beta. Let's review the situation that you're caught up in. To be a safe player, you have to know how to play. If you say a moment, don't give them time of day. Never listen to a word when they say. And if they claim that they're the bank, tell them no way.
But he sent me a reminder.
It wasn't me.
Messaged me on WhatsApp.
It wasn't me.
He even called me in the shower.
It wasn't me.
He told me I won the lottery.
It wasn't me.
He asked me for my password.
It wasn't me.
To verify my account number.
It wasn't me.
I even sent him a picture.
It wasn't me.
He dreamed my account and it was over. A fellow emailed me, dear customer, there seems to be a payment issue. You need to send us your account number and we'll resolve it for you. How could I be so clumsy and click on that dubious link? All this time he was after my password and username.
It wasn't me. It wasn't me. It wasn't me. It wasn't me.
So there are ways to fool. There are ways to fool anyone. So bank won't do it. Just see the video again if you like. Just text it as it wasn't me. That's wonderful. It gives you all the message what we just spoke about, right? So now I think we are going to a very interesting and very important conversation. That's about the career. What to do? Okay, is there a career in cybersecurity? What is this new word? I know about AI. I know about the programming, and then I think a lot of people are already discussing about the other discussions, right? I'm sorry, I don't know much, right? So cybersecurity as a career, do you think, shall I take it or not take it? Are there any chances? Those are the questions you might be going through. So let's see those, right? So this is one of the trend which is coming from Bureau of Labor Statistics of Australia. Just check it again on the web. And then the line below, it's actually coming from CEO of Symantec. Based on the record from Cisco, there are 1 million to 6 million jobs required by 2019. Again, this is the old one, with an expected shortfall of 1.5 million, right? So huge gap of skill in cybersecurity. Why? Because there is no specific curriculum for information security for quite some time. Recently, I think 2-3 years back, in India as well as other countries, they started courses at the graduate level as well as postgraduate level for information security. So because the skill is not available from the freshers, it's only by those guys like me who moved from IT to information security. So most of the people who learned the skill through that, they're all seniors right now. If they're looking for fresh energy, so there is a gap there, right? Because of that, there is a huge gap there. The growth, the required positions versus the demand, what do you call demand versus the supply, there's a huge gap. So because of that, I think there are many people who are looking for cybersecurity professionals, right? So what do you need to reach there? To reach there, I think you need to have a few skills apart from your engineering skills. I think you need to have few skills like critical thinking, ability to learn. Why critical thinking? You should be able to identify something funny happening or something faulty happening. Should have that interest to find the fault, interest to find the exception. Just I mean, thinking out of the box and find that, right? So that's one thing which is important, right? Second one, what is the other skill which you need for cybersecurity is actually about learning, being a continuous learner, because every day there will be a new what we can say threat coming in, new vulnerability coming in. You need to learn something to pick it up, right? So that's the thing, right? So so that's about the cybersecurity, and not just cybersecurity. I think there are a few other areas which are evolving. That's cloud computing as well, right? And if you have both, for example, cloud computing as well as cybersecurity, called cloud security, then you will be the gem of everything. Yeah. So think about those kind of career choices. Only when you believe you have the right mindset. It's because there are a number of positions. Let me go and apply. No, if you are a person who is interested in making something big, you are good in numbers, you want to do machine learning, then that's a better one to go through, right? If you are a person actually who is more into engineering, then you can go into software engineering. And if you are a developer yourself, you like to code and you want to make more into the development side, be a web developer. Or if you want to be a person who actually manages the systems which are not in the front end but the back, right? Managing the system, managing network, that's again IT, right? So there are too many professions out there in IT. So exploit those positions which are relevant to your talent and then your skill, and then pick the right match. Yeah. With that, I'm done. So these are the conclusions. What did we discuss so far? First part, we all discussed on data is moving to digital. It's not sitting physically anywhere. It's in a paper form. It's moving to digital. Second, data is the new oil, and the data breaches are increasing. Because the data breaches are increasing, we need a force, the workforce. The cybersecurity skills are needed. They are in high demand. And then there is no security without you, right? The security can be done only when there is you inside. So you need to do the security requirements no matter whatever the profession you are, individually, whether you are a professional, security professional or not. Take care of all the 5 things which we discussed. For just an individual also, you need to take care of the 5, right? As we said, ensure that you have the right password for your systems, and ensure there is a right antivirus software sitting on your machines, and also you are taking care of the patch updates, etc. So there are many things there, but I think we discussed few items today. I hope the session is useful, and happy to take any questions you might have. Yeah, thank you.